The Tegua Dukeries Rally would mark the second visit for the Protyre Circuit Rally Championship to Donington Park. And with the season getting into its final few rounds, the results here would be important for those championship battles. Fastest out of the blocks and clearly on a mission will be John Griffiths with Emma Morrison alongside in the Skoda. They start the day off as they mean to go on as well, extending a small lead of just 13 seconds by the end of 3 stages. So that would mean second place for their closest rivals, reigning champions Michael Igoe and Will Atkins. They'd be just a couple of seconds a stage off the pace through the morning. They'd need to try and switch that around, of course, for the afternoon, because they wanted that victory. Chris West and Keith Hounslow make a strong start to this round. Their results this season had been good, but not always plain sailing in that 3:06 maxi. This weekend, the pair start the day off with some good pace. The revs were up and they ended the morning in 3rd overall, leading the way in Class C. John and Alex Stone, another pair, having a mixed season. They, of course, were leading the championship in the winter break. They'd end the morning with 4th overall, just 13 seconds back from that Peugeot 306 Maxi up ahead. 4 stages to try and overhaul that position and get themselves onto the podium. Philip Hopkins and Sam Allen come out on this round as a pre-season practice event for the upcoming Manx Rally. So their result wasn't going to affect the championship cruise, but they were going well, in 5th place, leading Class B. Chris Woodhouse and Lucy Wilding, meanwhile, were still getting used to the new car, but they were clearly showing more pace from it already, reaching the end of stage 3 in 6th place on the overall leaderboard. For Tony Robinson and Paul Spooner, it would be 7th. The Skoda pair hadn't been out since they retired at Brands Hatch back in January, so they were shaking off the cobwebs over the morning stages here in the East Midlands. Hull's Phil and Kate Burton will be lying 2nd place in Class B at this stage. Another crew not in line for championship points, but going well on that overall leaderboard. Phil was last out on the East Riding stages in that Maple Garage Subaru, but this was the first time this season for wife Kate. Tom Stockdale and Neil Chambers had an eventful morning with some brake issues on the BMW. They'd be lying in 9th place overall this morning, and just like Burton up ahead, their only other event this season had been the East Riding stages, so they were settling into the pace now, also lying 2nd in Class C at this stage of the rally. Rounding out the top 10 overall were Mark Gallatley and Harriet Worth. Their first event this season, and indeed the first event in that new car for the pair as well, previously driven to much success by Mark Kelly. Let's have a glance through some of the classes then, and it would be the lead in Class F for Jonathan Hudson and Chris Worrell. They end the morning in that very impressively prepared Micra in 42nd place overall. And a few positions back from them, Adam Brickley and Richard Mills end the morning 2nd in the class, 51st place overall. In Class E, it was the lead for Robert Vardy and Matt Brown. They guide the Fiesta to the class lead as well as 21st overall by the midday break. And it was a good lead in the class as well, with Alan Russell and Matthew Faulkner taking 2nd in the class at this stage and running down in 36th overall. In Class D, we find Chris White and Jason Harris leading the way. They were going well overall as well, with a 12th place to end the morning. And that was a few positions above Mike Webb and Steve Noble, who end stage 3 in 16th. Of course, 2nd in the class. So the morning complete at one of the most historic rally venues, the Circuit Championship visits. And the leaderboards at the top are shaping up like this. Back out into that lovely March sunshine and into the afternoon stages, and there'd be no change in Class F. Adam Bickley and Richard Mills continuing to hold on to 2nd place in the class to the finish. And that would mean the class win for Jonathan Hudson and Chris Worrell, keeping hold of a good lead in that class to also end the day in 40th overall in a Micra that we will surely be seeing very soon in the TCS Celtic Micra Challenge. There's some change in Class E as well, as we see Harry Pinchin and Colin Jenkins ending the event 2nd in the class. A good result in the Citroën as they take 30th overall. But they were beaten to that class victory by this man, Robert Vardy, Matt Brown alongside. The Fiesta pair still going well to the finish, taking 22nd place overall with some spirited driving. In Class D, there's a bit of movement, and it is a move the right way for Mick and Ben Jowers. They take second place in the class by the finish. But given some of their earlier issues getting the car started, they'd be more than happy with that by the finish. But taking the class win, and therefore even happier, will be Chris White and Jason Harris, moving up to take 11th place overall as well. A strong end to the rally just outside a very competitive top 10 overall leaderboard. And speaking of the top 10, it had been an impressive day, but it would end with a move down the results ever so slightly for Phil and Kate Burton, having to take that 10th place overall. But that was still such a strong result here this weekend, as they take second in Class B as well in the Subaru. Sadly, things hadn't quite gone to plan for John and Alex Stone. A wrong split would see the stage times take a hit, and the pair tumbled down the order, ending the event 9th overall. At least, for the most part, they knew that the pace was still there, and this was still a finish with some strong points towards that championship campaign. For Tom Stockdale and Neil Chambers, it was second place in Class C by the finish. They were actually on an equal overall time to the crew up ahead, but would take that 8th place on a stage times countback. For Chris Woodhouse and Lucy Wilding, the Rally 2 Fiesta still sporting the Works livery, it will be 7th place overall. The pair getting faster stage by stage in that new car, really starting to get closer to the top of the results on times alone. With more seat time, they will likely be challenging for podiums here in the Protyre Circuit Rally Championship before long. Another crew getting used to a new car and having an impressive weekend here at Donington Park will Mark Gallatley and Harriet Worth, having a strong afternoon to move up the order and round out the day in 6th place. A good finish, and surely more to come when they get used to that car. It was a pretty trouble-free day for Tony Robinson and Paul Spooner as they end the event in 5th place. A good finish for the Skoda pair, and great to see them back out on the stages here in the championship again. Well, if that was a test ahead of the Manx for Philip Hopkins and Sam Allen, it does look a bit like Druidale out there, doesn't it? It was great to see them out, and it was a good test indeed. Things going to plan. 4th overall, taking the Class B victory. A good way to end the rally and get that seat time up ahead of the Isle of Man adventure that they have coming up. We're on to the podium positions, and there really wasn't much change. Chris West and Keith Hounslow able to finish with that 3rd place. Of course, the first of our hard-charging two-wheel drive cars. The pair always want to be one step higher, or perhaps today 2, but they were having fun. And amongst the competition this weekend, that was a strong finish indeed. A valiant effort and a spectacular battle, but it was frustration at the end of the day for Michael Igo and Will Atkins. Despite closing the gap, they'd have to settle for 2nd place. They got the time down to just 6 seconds of a difference going into the final stage, but they'd catch another car getting held up, causing some loss of concentration in the braking zone, and they hit the tyre stack in the chicane, eventually ending with just 10 seconds to the leaders. And those leaders, and with that, winners of the rally were John Griffiths and Emma Morrison. The lead of the event never went away and never looked like it was in doubt all day. They pushed hard from the off, and they get another maximum score towards that championship tally. And it, of course, keeps things very exciting going into the final 2 rounds of the season. So with round 7 complete here at Donington Park, the Dukeries Rally has once again delivered the thrills, the spills and spectacular action. The results look like this at the top of the leaderboard. Next up, our Protyre Circuit Rally Championship crews head to Cadwell Park and the penultimate round of the series. And we'll be there live again throughout the day, and we'll have highlights for you soon after. For now though, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the Lincolnshire Wolds.